Hey, welcome again to another fun episode of the Twisted Bent and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. Yep, that's my dancing partner. Who's that partner over there?
Leslie Spore. I'm surprised you showed up today, Jeff,
What's that?
because you've been flitting all over the world, laying in the beach, drinking the margaritas, sending me pictures of your toes while you're by the water. It's so unfair.
Well, isn't that the whole reason that we say, hey, we go into business for ourselves so we can have that opportunity to do those kind of things?
Yeah, but I only do it once a year, and I feel like you're gone all the time.
Wait. I want to make sure that I saw your post and you were doing something pretty cool for your birthday. Happy birthday,
I
by the way.
did do it. Thank you. I did for my birthday. I went to Magic Castle and I absolutely loved it. I loved it especially because it's exclusive and my bucket list items are full of things that are hard to get into and hard to do. And I was fortunate enough to find somebody who actually is a member there and invited me to go. So I was really excited about it.
And you had a great time.
Did oh my goodness. I can't, the whole night I'm thinking, how do they do that? How do they do that? It's amazing what they can do.
Did it exceed your expectations?
I would say it did. Yeah. It was the place in you're not allowed to take any photos once you get past the lobby. So
Oh,
you can't share any pictures or anything of the inside, but it is full of magic memorabilia, pictures and cartoon images of past magicians, Johnny Carson, for one, a lot of people don't know he was a magician.
hmm.
Um, all kind Penn and Teller, just all kinds of magicians and uh, amazing tricks. We saw card tricks and coin things that honest, and I was sitting right literally close. I mean, like within 6 inches of what was going on, and you can't. I don't even know how they do. It's crazy. They took a wedding ring from this guy and he went and did his whole thing. And at the end, that thing was on a keychain in his back pocket. And we never saw him do anything. It's like, how in the hell do they do this?
It's
I don't
magic,
know.
Leslie. It's magic.
And I know it's not like they have plants in the office because I was one of the people sitting up there doing it. So I was not a plant. You know what I mean?
How fun.
So it was quite fun.
So now where is Magic Castle?
It's in Hollywood,
Oh,
or
okay.
Holly Weird, as we like to say, us
Oh,
locals here.
Holly Weird. Okay.
Hollywood. Yeah. So we did 2 days down there. We did the walk on Hollywood Boulevard and the handprints at Grauman's. And, you know, I didn't go, I don't like wax museums because I have a doll phobia. So those things freak me out. So we didn't go in the wax museum, but we went to breakfast at Mel's Diner, which was awesome. It's like what was the Happy Days was based on Mel's Diner.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't this time around, we didn't do any of the bus tours. They have these great, I don't know if you go down there, but they have these great hop on, hop off bus tours, and they have
Oh,
different routes they go on around LA. So it's really fun. You can go to Chinatown, you can go to the beach, you can do all different things on these stars homes, which I'm not starstruck as a rule. But it was really fun. We did go to the farmers market down there. Have you been to that? The famous one at Third and Fairfax.
no.
It's huge,
Yeah.
huge, and really, it's been there forever. So I like historic stuff, and it was fun to be down there. Fortunately, the area we were in, was okay for as far as being outside. Some parts of LA, as you know, you have to be quite careful, but this was okay.
Well, if you notice, most of the show has been about Leslie, and today we're going to continue on that theme because today's topic is how to overcome overwhelm. Now, well,
Well,
the
you didn't
cool,
even say welcome to the name of the show, did you?
yeah, I did, yeah, right at the very beginning. I
You
said,
did?
welcome. You were so focused on you. I said, hey, welcome to the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. My name is
Um,
Jeff Harrison, and my
oh, that's
dancing
right. Dizzy
partner.
partner. Yeah. Okay.
Geez,
All
here we
right.
go.
Right.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. You just have to give us about an hour. Yeah, we see each other all the time. So anyway, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about how to overcome overwhelm, and we're recording this during the. I'm going to say the latter part, or excuse me, the first part of December, and this will probably come out the latter part of December, maybe even the first part of January. And the reason I want to talk about this, Leslie, is because as small business owners, this is kind of almost like, hey, the is really building up. We've got tax season, we've got year-end reports, we've got
Yeah.
P&L, we've got all, now we're making new goals for the next year. We might be doing in other words, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And I want to ask you, because I've always admired you, the fact that it seems like you're always able to get up and go. You and Dan go on trips, and and then you go. Well, you don't go to Glamis. He goes to Glamis, but I know
He
you
goes,
used
no,
to
not
do.
me.
But it's one of those things where it's like you're not tied to your desk. And I'm curious, what is the one thing that you as a business owner could really share with those watching and listening that helps us overcome overwhelm?
Well, having systems in place, of course, is like the number one thing. If you don't have good, solid systems in place, you cannot get away from your business. And particularly at this time of year, because all the end of year data, financial and process uh, related stuff, is the time where you have to clean up all of that and have yourself ready for tax season and ready. You need to know where you're at from a profit and loss standpoint for sure, right? You need to know, did I make any money this year? Some of us do, some of us don't. And you'd be shocked at how many small business owners have no idea whether they're making money or not, or they're just taking all of the profit to live on and not investing anything back in their business. So systems help identify those areas where you need more help and support, and um, trying to get organized.
Well, we think about a business, and there's so many moving parts, and there's so many different types of business we could talk about. And so I apologize. We've got some sirens outside our office today. I don't know if you can hear those.
Is that your ride?
Yeah, boy, it's like the seventh big fire truck that's gone by today. I hope everybody's okay. But anyway, um, there's so many moving parts that we could actually overwhelm people with the systems that they have to have in place. So what I'd like to do, Leslie, if you don't mind, is I'd like for you to take a second and say, okay, if you had to choose one thing, let's talk taxes as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Having a system in place to help us make sure we're ready for our quarterlies, and then the quarterlies are ready for our year-end P&L, and our accountant says, wow, you are one of my prize students because I don't have to beg you for all the documents. Do you have a system in place? And if you do, can you break it down and give us a little step by step?
Yeah, we do. And as a matter of fact, my accountant does say that to me every year. I'm like one of the only ones he has who actually has all their, excuse me, shit together when it comes to their financials. And my husband gets mad at me because I am so honest in how I do my reporting that he feels I pay way more taxes than I should. But I can't sleep at night if it's not accurate and I didn't do it properly. So, um, one of the things is that you should not wait until the very end of the year to do this. This is an ongoing all year process. If you're not a financial accounting person by nature, I highly recommend you take an accounting class for non-financial managers, just so you can understand what a P&L is, what a balance sheet is, what an invoice and a bill is, just the basic. It's no different than balancing your checkbook, really and truly. That's how simple an automated system is. Things like, I use QuickBooks, but there's a lot of different kinds of accounting systems out there, and most of them have a ton of bells and whistles that you don't even need. Basically, you need to be able to deposit money. You need to record your expenses so it subtracts from that money. And you need to record your deposits, which are payments from clients, into your system. If you track just that, you're going to be able to know exactly how much money you made, where your money went, and what your P&L is at the end of the year. And if you do it, if you're not able to do it monthly, which we do it every day, I can't have stuff languishing because things get lost. Receipts get lost. If you're still using a shoebox or a spreadsheet, shame on you. Really, this is 2026 almost. There is no excuse for that. You use a shoebox, don't you?
No, I don't.
Okay, just making
No,
sure.
no, no.
Do you have a system?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
So is it QuickBooks?
No, it's a bookkeeper and an
Oh,
accountant.
so you
Yeah,
have somebody else who takes care of it for you.
absolutely.
So I used to do it all myself, but now I have an office manager who tracks all of that for me. I used to run billing like every day, and she has reduced that down to once a week. She pays
Mhm.
checks once a week, and she does billing on another day of the week. So it's consistent, and our clients know when they're going to be receiving a receipt for what they paid, which is really helpful. But if you're not a everyday person or even an every week person, at least monthly or very least quarterly, you need to input these records and make sure they're accurate. And if you're absolutely sickened by the idea of entering data, then do like Jeff does and get somebody to do it for you. If you have a bookkeeper, you can turn stuff over. And once you've discussed your GL, which if you don't know what a GL is, it's a general ledger. It is the categories that expenses go into and income goes into so that you can track what you have. And by the way, I am not an accountant. I am not a financial person. I did take a class financial for non-financial managers years ago so I could understand how to do this. And then as somebody who's run a business, my own business for 20 years, obviously I better know how to do this by now or else I wouldn't be in business anymore. But if you keep up with the data, then you know month to month. And then every quarter, you should also be looking at how did I do this quarter and what's my tax liability at this point? Do you do that? Do you have your tax guy look at it every quarter?
Actually, we do it every month. So
Oh, you do? Okay.
yeah, yeah. In just an injection here. We just celebrated our 28th anniversary, my wife and I. And 28 years ago, I took a class at the college, uh, exactly like you're talking about. It was two
Yeah.
quarters, and it was teaching me because we were starting. She had a business already, and I was starting a business, and so I wanted to do it properly. And we learned at that time the shoebox was not the way to go because I thought, oh, that's great. I'll just collect everything and put it, give it to my accountant. And he's like, no, no, that doesn't work because I'm going to give it right back to you. So he taught me early on that, making sure that everything you pay for, you can track. And that's when we started using, business credit cards, and everything we pay for is on a business credit card.
Yeah, me too.
Makes
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And it's like I don't have to collect all those receipts. I just have to every month give my bookkeeper all my accounts, and then he takes care of it from there. So
Yeah,
it makes
we use a company credit card for everything also because I like my miles because I want to travel. So that's how we travel as much as we do is because I don't have to pay for airfare. Very rarely do I. In fact, I almost never pay for airfare because we always have tons and tons of miles for that sort of thing. But we digress as usual. So
Well,
um,
the reason I brought that up is I wanted to
yeah,
get you to talk about, let's talk about rudimentary systems, because here's the thing. There's this thing called the curse of knowledge, and I know you know what it is. It's like we are already so far down the path that we did something 20 or 28 years ago, and we just assume everybody has this in place. And you were mentioning before we came live that you're doing some 5-day challenges with people, and you have people that don't have a system in place. Their system
right.
is a shoebox, and they've been doing business for a long time. So I want you to take us back to like, hey, I'm just thinking about starting a business. I want to do it right, but it also applies to those people who have been doing it for 20 years, and they can improve upon that.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I've got people in my challenges that are still using spreadsheets at best and shoeboxes at worst because they don't like, I think they don't like financial accounting because they don't understand it. I mean, that's really the thing. When you understand the purpose and the intent of something, then you tend to do a better job with it, right? So, um, the class that I recommended taking, which is financial accounting for non-financial managers, that's typically what it's called everywhere. Something similar to that at a local college, sometimes even high schools, but generally the community college will have a class like that, or a learning annex will have a class like that. And so if you will understand the benefit for your business and for your peace of mind to having a system in place that you actually understand what it's doing, I think that you will make a better effort to do it so that you're accurate. And along with that is that there's not an accountant or a bookkeeper in the world who's not going to charge you extra if they have to sort through all your receipts, right? Because that's a lot of time. And it's easier to do it as you go along. It's nice that you're doing it on a credit card because then you can just mark it which categories it goes to if they're not already categorized on your credit card statement. And then it's easy to input all that data. But for me, I like to do it as we go along so that nothing gets lost, nothing gets forgotten. It's easy to do. In fact, I'm even doing expense reports these days because my office manager insists on it. She made me get a personal credit card and charge all stuff to that. And then I can expense back what our business expenses. So, but we're farther down the path. I mean, a small business owner having a business credit card is really all you need to get started. And in your mind, keep the business charges separate from your personal charges so that you can accurately state that these are all legitimate business expenses. Now, as a small business owner, you get some creative license with that, depending on how good your accountant is. I'm not going to tell you not to do anything one way or the other, but your accountant can certainly guide you in how to best leverage your business and get the most relief from any tax liabilities. That's really important. And he'll tell you things like, if you go to buy a car and you use it for your business, they'll tell you, is it better to lease that car or is it better to buy that car, depending on where you are in your business and what you need to accomplish from a tax liability perspective. Some of these 5-day challenges are really eye openers. I'm shocked at how few expenses some people have. I mean, their overhead is almost nothing, which you would think is a good thing, right? You'd say, oh, I have low overhead, so I have a higher profit margin. But the problem with that is they are not setting aside any funds for marketing, networking, retirement. Yeah. I made a crucial mistake the first 5 years I was in business. I didn't pay Social Security for the first 5 years. I didn't actually pay myself for the first 5 years, which to me is a cardinal sin. I still know people that are not paying themselves anything on their business.
You did that out of thinking that was a good play. That was a good strategy, not to pay yourself because you're putting your money back into the business.
Right.
And truly, it now could impact you into retirement by having those 5 years where it says, wait a second, you didn't make any money during those 5 years. You didn't put anything into Social Security.
Yeah, it would have really hurt my retirement had I not been in business 20 years. If I had worked for 10 years and then decide not to do this anymore, it would have killed my Social Security benefits. And I didn't start my business until I was 40 something, right? So I wasn't really thinking about retirement at that point, but here I am almost 70 and I'm thinking, I would like to retire at some point. And so what are my benefits going to be? Thank goodness. The one thing about Social Security is that it amortizes over X amount of years. So once you start putting into it, it starts building back up again. But I tell everybody, whatever you do, even if you don't pay yourself, be sure you pay that Social Security because it'll make a difference in your long-term living conditions. So for sure do that. And I was lucky that I didn't have to pay myself. I had a nest egg. Some people have a second income in their home. I had liquidated everything in my life before I started my business. So I had all kinds of reserved cash that I could live on. And I did for 5 years. I didn't have to. I mean, the business was profitable in its first year, but I wanted to keep investing in the company. So I just didn't take anything. But you really should pay yourself. And I don't know if this is too much of a digress, but for those new business owners that are out there, I don't care if you pay yourself $5 a week, you need to pay yourself something, if only for the psychological benefit of compensating yourself. Businesses work is an exchange of energy, right? We work, we put out energy, we get paid. Money is energy coming back. So there has to be an exchange of energy. And if there's not, you feel like, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you feel like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? Because you need to get that income coming to you. If you can't afford to pay yourself, it's like that old adage, pay yourself first. Rich
Yeah.
dad, poor dad is always saying, pay yourself, not pay your dad, pay yourself first. Right. So it's the same philosophy. Make sure you pay yourself in your business, even if it's something small. I don't care how much it is. I only care that you make that exchange of energy. So, and then two, also, when you're going to, at the end of the year, you want to look at, okay, that income is going to count for you as income. And there's all kinds of things we could talk about today, whether you're incorporated, whether you're not. Incorporation makes a big difference for tax liability as well. There's a nasty thing called self-employment tax. And if you're not incorporated, you're subject to that. And what is it, 12%? I'm not sure. 13%. So why should you pay 13% when you can just incorporate and not have to worry about that? So there's all kinds of things. And again, these are all topics that you need to have with your accountant. So let's talk about some other year-end things that we do in the systems that we have. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to kind of put this out here, just as some of the things that you've talked about for those people maybe coming on just now. First of all, as Leslie says, she's not an accountant. I'm not an accountant. So the first thing you probably should do when you're starting your business or wherever you're at in your business is consult your accountant. Hey, what are the things? And we have a dear friend who's also in our BNI group, and his name is Steve, and he has an accounting company or accounting firm. And one of the things he prides himself in is he's not one of these guys, and you should look for one of these people, that they're just not somebody you see once a year to have your taxes done or your quarterlies done. It should be somebody you sit down with and say, let's plan out. Let's talk about things how the year is going. Do you look like you're going to have a banner year, or is it a different type of year? And you need to look at your expenses differently. This is where an accountant could happen. So I would say, Leslie, stop me if I'm wrong, but this may be step one, consult your accountant. So that way you're like, when I took that class, and for me, I realized, hey, I like numbers, but I don't want that to be part of my business livelihood. So I hired somebody. In fact, I even hired the teachers that ran the course, because I'm like, they know it better than anybody. So they've been my accountant now for almost 30 years. So would you say that one is to consult your accountant?
Yeah. And if you don't have one, get one. Yeah. I mean, you say that like a consultant, an accountant. Well, you said an accountant. I thought you said your accountant. Yeah, you need to have one. Anybody that's starting a business needs to have at least some preliminary advice from an actual CPA, for sure, longer term advice, and somebody you can go to when there's an issue. Truly, managing the books is as simple as a checkbook. If you can manage your checkbook, you can manage your books. It isn't hard, but you need a formal tracking mechanism from my point of view, because it creates the discipline for you to follow so that you can actually have everything where it goes. If it's just a spreadsheet, you might forget a category. You might not realize an opportunity. In fact, I give sample GLs to some of my challenge clients, so that they can, because they don't have accounting systems and they need to get started, and they don't even, it's as rudimentary as what is a GL. It's a general ledger, and that all that is the categories that your expenses go into: marketing, networking, payroll, insurance, things like that. And so that you put those expenses in the correct bucket, because different buckets impact your tax liability in different ways. Some of them are 100% write-off expenses, which defrays your liability. And if you don't understand what tax liability, and for sure, go take that class. But tax liability is the amount of money you owe to the government and the state after all is said and done for the year. And you want to minimize that as much as possible so that you can keep as much of your money as possible, right? So having an actual system to use is very, very helpful because it does create that discipline for keeping track. The frequency with which you keep track is more of an individual basis. And like I said, if you really hate it and can't abide by it, then by all means, outsource it to somebody that can help you.
Cool.
But I think it's better to learn it. I'm a believer that the more you understand about a process, the better decisions you can make, because most all people in the world, most of them want to be conscientious and do a good job, right? And so understanding what their process is helps them make better decisions. You don't have to do your accounting yourself in your own system, but you should understand how it works. And sometimes it's helpful to do it for a while yourself so that you can understand if there's a mistake. I can look at my books, even though I don't take care of them anymore, and I can see if something's miscategorized. And one of the other things that I do quite often, and I think all businesses should do this, I don't know if you do this, but I think it's something that's helpful, is I do a comparison of the prior year to the current year. And I'm looking to see if my expenses are similar enough that it won't raise a red flag in an audit or cause you to be audited. If your marketing expenses or office supplies are consistent year to year, pretty consistent within a few, $1,000 here or there, then you're not going to raise any flags and have a problem. If you have a really big expense in 1 year, like we had a huge office supply expense in 1 year. Well, that's because we went from my home office to an actual office, and we had to buy furniture and we had to buy computers and we had to, set up that office. So we had a much bigger thing, and I had to answer for that to my accountant. Why is this so high? And it's because we moved into an office.
Yeah.
So, you need to be able to justify what you're doing. You need to understand what you're doing. You should always have a good working knowledge of how your books operate. Now, the other part of that is another way to help yourself is to pay off all your debt on a regular basis. I don't carry any debt. Do you? I don't think you do either. Do you?
Not really. No.
No. Every year at the end of the year, I look at my vendors who I owe money to and say, is this job close enough to done that I can pay them off, so that any impact to my P&L, profit and loss, comes in this year. So I like to pay all my vendors out before the end of the year. And I like to hold my deposits to the beginning of the next year because that's just that little bit of cash to get started again on the next year. But it really, again, this all depends on if you understand how this works. And the best person to tell you that is a class and your accountant.
Absolutely.
So,
So
that's
step one is consult an accountant. Step two is having a good tracking mechanism. And then
right.
I put down from our talk about routine review of revenue and expenses. And you said you do it on a daily basis. I do it on a monthly basis. Some people do it on a
I don't do it on a daily. We input stuff on a daily basis. I only look at it about once a month. Now, and if you have to pay quarterlies, which most really small businesses don't, but if what you don't want is a big exposure. You don't want to find out at the end of the year that you owe $10 or $15 or $20,000 in taxes. So if you review at least at a quarterly and you see that your profit margin is really high, then you can talk to your accountant and say, hey, do I need to pay a quarterly at this point to help mitigate that bulk slam at the end of the year? Because you don't want that. Nobody wants a big payment to have to make. Yeah. So in quarterlies, if you're not familiar with that, are kind of like a savings account. You're paying your taxes in advance. And I have always felt it's better to overpay and get a refund than it is to underpay. Now, there's other people that strongly disagree with that. They would rather put the money in the bank and get some interest on it and then pay whatever is owed, and that's fine too. But this goes way back. I mean, we're talking about since I started working at 12 and 16. Well, 16 is I had a first W-2 job. So even back then I wanted to overpay. Because I like to get a refund. That always makes me feel happy. So, but that's not always the best business decision. And that again is an answer that your accountant can tell you.
Cool. All right. So again, the whole idea of today is to realize systems, as I say, slay, or I should say, my 22-year-old nieces say, slay overwhelm. Because, sometimes, and we were having this discussion a little bit offline, is overwhelm sometimes can come from doing things that need to be done, or things that need to be done, and you're not capable, or there's so many things going on, and the systems help with that. As an example, like for me, my system is, hey, once a month i give my I give my banking statements, my credit card statements, my PayPal. I use PayPal a lot for some of my.
PayPal. How old are you?
Well, it works really well, and then I
I'm
also
just kidding.
use Stripe. So I give those 4 documents to my bookkeeper every month, and that's my system. And then quarterly, I pay quarterlies. We do that for my accountant. So there's what, 12 touch points with my bookkeeper, 4 with my accountant every year, and that's my system, and it takes the pressure off of me.
Right.
Probably the only thing that sometimes gets me a little wound up is when they say, this is the one, is, well, we need that. How much did you pay for health insurance? And the challenge with that for me is I want to just go to my health provider, and they give me what's called a 1095A every year. Well, they don't give it to you when my accountant wants it. My accountant wants it now,
Yeah.
and they give it to us after the first year. So I've got to go back and just go through. So what I tend to do is call my bookkeeper and say, hey, run me an expense on mine and because we have 2 different corporations, one for my wife, one for me. What was our health insurance covered? What did our business pay for health insurance? And that's probably the only one that I now get keyed up about, because again, like you pointed out, and it happens having the system. Don't wait till the end.
Well, a lot of people don't even realize that health insurance is tax deductible for the owner of the business.
Mm.
Right now, we just instituted health insurance for our employees. It's a matching thing. They pay some, we pay some, and that's also tax deductible. But for years, when I was just myself with insurance, as an owner, that is tax deductible as well. So, and they like to put it. It's weird how they put it in the system, and I'm not going to go into the mechanics of that, but there is a way that they prefer to show it, and because we do actual payroll, they like it better included in the payroll piece. I don't know why. You can just write a check and it's all the same difference to me. But, again, we keep harping about going to an accountant because it's really important, because they'll make sure you do it properly so that you don't get audited. And when you pay an accountant to do something, they're on the hook for it too.
Shared liability,
So,
right?
right. So if something goes wrong, or if you do get called for an audit, then they are the ones that have to go defend what they've done. And that is a big peace of mind thing for me, because I can get creative all day long, but I don't know what the rules, where the fudge areas are, right? My accountant happens to be an ex-IRS agent, so he does know, so that's helpful. There's just all kinds of things. Having a system, though, is key. You've got to have a system, and it needs to be an actual formal system.
Well, Leslie, a lot of times people don't realize they need a system until like this time of year. And they realize, wow, what I've been doing isn't working. It's almost like saying, hey, I'm going to go to my high school reunion, but I want to wear the clothes I wore then. And I realize I don't fit in anymore, because my system, meaning how did I take care of my health for the last 10 years or 20 years, whatever the break is, I didn't do a good job. So, systems are important in all areas of our life. And what we're talking about right now is just one small piece. And I'm going to continue to pick on at Leslie's brain, because she is a system, I'm going to say, genius about this. But we're not going to do it in a way that is overwhelming, because we're not going to talk about all the systems your business needs. But I do want to point out that you have a program that you built about a year ago, or at the first of the year, that actually helps people understand all of this. Would you mind taking a second and telling us about
Which one are you?
your education program that you put together in San
The
Francisco?
oh, okay. I wasn't sure which, because I have so many things. I wasn't sure which one you were talking about. Yeah, last year, I think it wasn't last November-ish that we went and did that, right?
I
Where
think
you
it
went
was,
with
yeah.
me.
Yep.
I actually put together 40, I think it's 40 videos about running a business. And the metaphor I use to do that is a puzzle, right? Our businesses are like a puzzle, and every piece is a different piece of the business, whether that's marketing, whether it's networking, whether that's systems, whether it's automation. There's so many areas, procedures, employees, all of that. There's so many pieces. And most people can build that outline of the puzzle without too much problem. They have an idea, they know who they want to sell to generally, they know where they're going to sell. They can put the basic pieces together. They may even go as far as to get an accountant and get the advice they need about how to set up their books and stuff like that. But then when it comes to all that other stuff, all those other puzzle pieces, they really struggle with that, because most of the time people that start businesses, almost always, I don't want to say always, but almost always, start it with a good idea and good intentions. They may not have the experience or the business acumen to understand how all the pieces interconnect. And so this educational series, it's at learn.conciergebusinesssolutions.com. It tells you every piece of that puzzle. And it's like I said, there's 40 videos. Some of them are only a minute or 2 minutes long. I mean, so it's not 40 hours worth of education. It's a good amount of education, but it's all of my brain in a place where you can understand it. I don't think I talked to above anybody. Jeff, you witnessed the video capture. What is it called? Video.
The filming.
The filming. Oh, filming. This is like what's Trisha trying to say? That word yesterday. I can't remember
I
what it
can't
was.
remember
Do you
what she was
remember?
trying to say. No, I don't.
Something. Anyway,
There was something simple.
something simple, and we finally gave her an alternative. We got our thesaurus out and gave her a different word. So the filming of all the videos, I try to keep it to a level where a brand new person could understand it. Or if you've been in business for a while, this is that it's good for that. So if you're looking for an overall, how do I run a business properly? How do I build this business? How do I make all these puzzle pieces connect? Please, please go take a look at this landing page, the learn.conciergebusinesssolutions.com. It's up there on the screen. It will change your everything about how you run a business. It really will, because people don't know what they don't know. They just don't. I mean, how would you? Right. And so being able to learn from somebody who's done this for, I hate to say 50 years. It's true though, but 50 years I've been in business. Really will make a difference for you. And I guarantee you, and I hate to use that word because that word can come back and bite you in the butt, but I can guarantee you that you'll get at least one idea or helpful hint or something. And I'm surely it'd be a lot more than that, but for sure, at least one that is going to change the way you do business forever. Right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I just want to say, because I was there watching the filming, and somebody who, again, I've been in business since 1999. That's when we first formed our first corporation, and watching those hours, 3 days I think it was, of filming, it reminded me of things that I had forgotten. Again, the curse of knowledge, right? You're further down the road, so you don't think of that because you're further down the road, but you remember, oh, this is something that was beneficial. So I think it's good for everyone. And I think the cool thing about that is you have it set up. So if I am somebody who's been in business for a while, it's not so basic that I can't skip ahead and say, this is an area that works for me. I'm already into the puzzle building process, but these are some areas I feel like I'm trapped in that you gave us solutions to fix and say, hey, now I'm working on my business instead of in my business. And I think that was a
Yeah.
beautiful takeaway from what you're doing.
Yeah, that's really important. And for those of you who've been with us from the beginning and know, I coach Jeff also, and he coaches me too. His perspective is always
I'm much,
welcomed and so
yeah,
helpful. What?
I'm much more coachable, but
Well, that's true. I'm kind of stuck in my ways, but no, we're just teasing. Um, but I coach him too. And I can remember back 20 years ago when we were still first started filming together and doing things together, that a lot of what I was talking about was new for you. I
mhm,
remember that. And that's not unusual since you'd only been in business about 8 years at that point, right? And you were entering an arena that was kind of brand new
yeah.
also with all the video stuff that you were doing. So I think we've both helped each other a lot over the years. But I would say that if you are looking for an aggregate look at business and how it all fits together, and I'll use the puzzle metaphor again, what is the picture on the box that you're trying to create? Right? For me, it was freedom and the ability to have my business run in a way that I can take vacations. I can go to take pictures of my feet on the chaise lounge like Jeff did last week. You know, it is to be able. We went to Italy this year. You know, we went to Africa. Was it the year before that? I'm not sure. It is the ability to be able to do those things and not have to worry that my business is going to fall apart. I am no longer the face of my business. And I only created that training once I figured that out for myself because I got married 5 years ago, and I've told this story. When I went on my honeymoon, I had to take my laptop, and I worked almost all of the time.
Mm.
So as recently as 5 years ago, I was still working in my business and not on it. And and then 3 years ago, when I started this course, I had already achieved on it and not in it. And so I can't recommend this highly enough. It is not a cheap course. It's not ridiculously expensive, but it is definitely a strong investment in yourself and your business. If you're serious about trying to build a business, this is the course for you.
Well,
Truly.
I think that's really an important part is this is an opportunity for investing in yourself. We're talking about taxes. This is something, and again, I'm not an accountant, but I know when I invest in myself, that is also a tax deductible activity.
That's right.
And because it's specifically for it's not me learning how to play golf and taking golf lessons. That's a little different story. But this is to help me be better at running my business more effectively and efficiently. And I think that's something you should consider. Now, that's if you're listening, it's at https. Well, it's basically at learn.conciergebusinesssolutions.com. You should just check that out and get more information. It's much cheaper than what you would pay if you said I had to go to business school for 20 years to learn
Yeah.
this. I
Yeah.
guarantee it's a lot less expensive. But the big thing is, it's going to be something because you invest in yourself. It's a tax deduction. You can
Right.
use it to reduce your tax liability.
Yeah, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because I always get in trouble when I say this, but I have the same knowledge as an MBA. But the difference is between me and an MBA, because I don't have a degree, is that I learned this as I went along. I learned this on the fly. I've been in these experiences. So, from a practical application standpoint, I can give you the information that you need in order to build your business as professionally and as well as anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and it's not hard. It really isn't hard. It's just understanding how the pieces go together and continuing to put one foot in front of the other and moving forward, right? You have to just keep going forward every single day. The only fear I allowed myself to have when I started Executive Errands 20 years ago was the fear of quitting too soon.
Mm.
I was always afraid that success was right around the corner and that if I quit, I will miss out on it. So I kept going. And then one day I realized that we'd been at success for a number of years and I didn't even realize it. Right. I mean, when your business is profitable in the first year, you're a success. If you make it past 2 years and 3 years, you are definitely a success because most people don't.
Yep.
Most people don't have the persistence and the tenacity and the fortitude to keep moving forward every single day.
It's a
Right?
lot
So
there. Yeah,
yeah.
like
You know, you do it too.
yeah. Hey, before I let you go today, I want to throw out also another example. So if you're saying, "Hey, I like this idea. I've listened to Leslie." I encourage you to also sign up for her 5-day freedom
Oh,
challenge. Now, it's very limited. She only does 2 a week, and she
right.
already has a backlog on this. But I recommend you go to conciergebusinesssolutions.com/, the dash 5 dash day dash freedom dash challenge, and it's on there. And
It's
check that out
free.
because it it's free for 5 days. It's not a group thing. It's one-on-one,
Mhm.
and it's an opportunity for you to get to know Leslie to get to know you. And as I understand it from some of the testimonials that we take care of for you, is these people are so gracious. They're blown away at how generous and giving you are of helping them with their businesses. And if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love the 5-day challenge. It's my heart, it's so much fun. I don't charge for it because I want to help people. And this is really a business assessment where we gather a bunch of data and we identify where the opportunities are in the business. I mean, sometimes the it's funny because everyone I do is different, because they're specific for you and your business. I had a lady that I got to day 3 and I wasn't sure I could help her. I was so surprised. I mean, I had to ask her how she works and what her intent was when she started her business, because to me it appeared she'd built a job for herself, and everything I suggested she said no to. But it turned out we just had to we ended up going through the whole thing, and I did help her a whole bunch, and she did a beautiful review for us, which I really appreciate. Um, Other people are like their overwhelm is coming from the fact that they do everything themselves, and so they are the bottleneck in their business, and the fix is really easy for that. Get some help. But it's hard when you're first starting out to accept that you can't wear all the hats and be everybody at one time, and b, that you have to relinquish some of your income to bring somebody else on, because you can't grow if you're doing everything yourself. You just can't. So this 5-day challenge allows us, you as the participant and me, to identify where the opportunities are, what is at the heart of your biggest business challenge, and how can we fix that. And that might be you need a new system, you need a software system, which we offer, or it could be that you need additional consulting, or it could be that you just need to, like I have one thing I put in the challenge almost every time is to go out and get 2 speaking engagements. You should see the panic on somebody's face when I suggest they get these 2 speaking engagements. But you know what? They all do it and they get them and they're successful. And yesterday I had a lady call me up. Well, she called me up Friday, but we did it yesterday. She's got a big presentation to a real estate group, and she wasn't sure what to say to them. And you know me, I have a no fail for real estate. So I gave her my real estate training for free yesterday.
Wow,
And
wow,
I said, let me know how you do. Tell me what the feedback is like, because I want her to be successful.
sure,
You know, yes, I'm in a business to make money. And yes, I have stuff that costs money, but I also give away a lot of things for free in order to help people. And this is one of them. And if you're not taking advantage of this, you're crazy.
yeah,
Where are you going to get 5 focused days on you and your business only and not have to pay for it?
not going to
You
happen.
know, what would that
So,
cost? What's 5 times
oh
150?
geez. Well, I'm in a 5-day, I'm in a 3-day challenge right now, and it's not uncommon for the gentleman who's teaching this. I think his program is 50 grand a year, so
Wow.
it's not cheap, and he has a very specialized set of skills, just like you do. And you are every bit as valuable as this fellow is
I
because
need to raise my rates.
you have a very specific set of skills. And so, yeah, what is that worth? It could, like today, if you said, geez, I feel like a boxer in a boxing match with all the stuff that's going on, this is an opportunity that Leslie pulls you out in that timeout, if you will,
Yeah.
and tells you, points out things that you can't see because you're so busy trying not to get pummeled that you don't realize, wait a second, I can do some things that are actually on the offensive and change things. And all of a sudden you turn it around. That's to me what your 5-day challenge is all about. And
It's
quite
so
frankly,
fun.
your learning program. It's like this as a kid growing up, and again, I'm gonna date myself, we had encyclopedias.
I
That was
remember
our
those.
right, that
Yeah,
was our resource. When the teacher
right.
said, hey, you've got to write a report, we didn't have chat GPT back then, we didn't have internet. We had to go through the encyclopedia and read that and then put this together. Well, that's what this program is. It'll be something that you'll keep around for a long, long time. That is,
Yeah.
it's just priceless. So anyway,
Yeah. And once you
let's.
get it, it's yours. You don't have to, and you get a certificate of completion when you're done. So, it's good. Why are you all fuzzy all of a sudden? Did I get a brain tumor? What happened?
No, all of a sudden my camera just went out of fill. It'll come back. But anyway,
It's making
so
me nauseous.
well, stop looking at me.
Uh,
I don't know what happened. I don't, maybe I have a thumbprint on there. I didn't touch it. But today we're talking about again how to overcome overwhelm, and we're talking about how important it is to have systems in your business. And today we talked about how systems slay overwhelm. Leslie laid out a very clear step-by-step process of just from a tax standpoint of saying, hey, first of all, consult an accountant. If you don't have
yeah.
an accountant, get one. And there are a few people in your business that you should have. An accountant is one you should have in your corner because again, just like in your business, things change, and because you're in your business, you're on top of it. The accountant is the same way. The next one is to make sure you have a tracking mechanism. Hey, where's the money coming in from? Where's it going out? Why is it being spent? Have a tracking mechanism. And then also routine review of revenue and expenses. And then, of course, as Leslie said, and I've done, she's done, is take that education, take a class and find out if you're like Leslie who says, hey, I want to know where everything is. And I still do it myself to some degree, or for years she did. For me, I looked at it and said, this is something now I know about, but I don't want to be the one doing it. So I just hired somebody. You can take both ways. But here's the thing, they both work. You have to now individually decide what that is. So I hope you enjoyed today and took some things out of it and realized, oh, are these things that can help me? That's the whole idea of trying to help you become untwisted, unbent, and unexhausted as an entrepreneur. Leslie, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
The last thing I want to add, because you said hire it done, is I hear quite often in my 5 days, the 5-day challenge, that they can't afford to hire somebody. And I'm going to counter that with you can't afford not to. Because if you end up doing things you hate, you're not going to do them well. And it's going to cost you more money in the long run. Also, you can't grow at all. If you want to grow your business, you have to have help. And whether that's somebody assisting you in the office or an accountant or uh, I had a bookkeeper. It took me 6 months to convince myself I could hire a bookkeeper at the time because I thought I'd throw my computer through the wall if I had to put in one more invoice. I was so sick of it. And I kept calculating it in hours. How much do I get paid an hour to work? How many hours am I going to have to pay this person? What's the trade? How much business do I have to sell to cover it? I went through all that stuff. And you know what happened when I hired her and spent the money? My business grew a lot because I was freed up from all that time of posting entries to be able to go out and do more marketing and networking. So there is a trade-off, and sometimes it's hard to quantify. So don't think you can't afford it. If you think that, call me up for a 5-day challenge. I'll show you how you can.
I'm going to put that up there just one more time about the 5-day challenge.
No, that one is the
Is,
learning class.
I'm getting there. There's a lot of things you don't see back here behind the scenes. So there it It's conciergebusinesssolutions.com/the 5-day freedom challenge. And there's a dash between each word. So it's the dash 5-day dash freedom
Freedom.
dash challenge.
Yeah.
Leslie, as always, it's a treat, and it's an education all the time. We get to talk about things. And I think, again, this whole thing about an entrepreneur, you talk to them and they're like, I'm so busy, I'm overwhelmed. And usually it's lack of systems. So
Yep.
this week was a way to start and say, hey, let's lay out some ideas for you when it comes to systems that can now take down some of that overwhelm.
Yep.
Leslie, thank you so much. Any last thoughts before I let you go?
Nope. That's it, you guys. It's
All right.
a good one.
Take care. We'll see you on the next episode of the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted podcast. My name is Jeff Harris, along with
Leslie Spohr.
See you next time.
Bye.